All right, y'all, let's get into part 3 of the world stage and the projection of our reality and the return of Jesus and the new heaven and earth setting up and Hollywood and all these things, okay? Because Jesus was coming and he brought something to the Jews and he performed miracles or magic. He turned water to wine. He floated above the water. He was that showman, and you had 5,000, 10,000, however many thousands of people coming to see him perform, coming to see him speak, all those types of things, okay? And he was giving them something that they've never seen or heard or whatever before, right? So this goes along with our reality and the things that's been set up in the king spirit, where the church comes in and says, you can't listen to that music. That's the devil's music or whatever, right? And they have the law. Well, we can only show this part up, and then blah, 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 right? That's one test. And then he came with another test with the armies that gathered, and he did that live bait for the people, all right? So that king spirit is coming to set up the two kingdoms, and that host pit hell and the beastmen and the armies that gathered for that of the us and the hour, that R for the RNA, that light changing and all those types of things, okay? So Jesus had that gospel, and what he taught was different than what Moses taught. What he taught is different than what Paul taught, all right? So this is where you get the old versus the new, and they're both aimed at the bond man, the bond woman, and Jesus came for the free, the living. He's given us a key so we can unlock these doors, these locks on our lives and have life, okay? And the church wants to take these keys and they want to unlock the doors for you and say, this is good and this is bad. You can read this, you can't read that. You can listen to this, you can't do that. You can dance or you can't dance like that. Whatever kind of shit. Whatever, right? We know what they're talking about. So the church who prays to amen is the church number 4 of the Laodicea. All right, that's the CIA and shit. So that goes into where you have the cross, the Nazi cross, the CIA coming over from the Nazis, all that coming in to build our school structure that we have now to bring in that Hitler Youth, that Aryan Brotherhood. They're not the air, they're the Aryan Brotherhood. They're the brother of the air. So Jesus as that showman, we can see how he's coming in and bringing in a new age, right? That Roman Empire. And today we have the revised Roman Empire, and we have the TV coming on, and we have the internet and the window into heaven, those types of things being set up, and a new heaven and earth being set up, those things, right? So, with that, and Jesus lives within us, we see the reality shows going on today and the reality TV. We see the social media where people are doing their own channels, where people need to do this, that, or the other on here. So it's a way of man coming together, that Christ coming together into one body and sharing light and all these things. So people who are seeking for truth, people who have these keys, can find the truth they need. Okay, and then, but you take those things and you take it within, and then you dissect it. All right. It's kind of where Jesus said you had to follow him, because following him, you learn what he does, but then you also learn what's best for you. But learning what's best for you is figuring out how to step out. All right. And people don't want to step out because we're drawn to each other. We're magnetized to each other. And when we leave that magnetism, that's what can lead us to feel lonely. But the people feel lonely. They have that grievous sin because they're not connected to the earth. They're not connected to the light and within themselves, right? It's our choice to be happy, sad, or whatever. All right. And in order to be able to make that choice, we must be able to enter within and go into the closet within our temple and search. But in order to search the temple, okay, we got to clean the temple first. You can't search through a dirty temple. But a lot of people, they're being told that this temple is clean, and their temple's actually it's a clusterfuck in there, or it's kind of like their house and such. Their house is a good representation of the spiritual stuff going on. Like, is it all just filled with a bunch of shit or whatever, beautiful shit? It's just a bunch of knick-knack shit. And that's what's giving you all your spiritual light. They're telling you, oh, God has blessed you, even though money is the root of evil. Love of money is the root of evil, but God's going to bless you with prosperity and evil, or prosperity and money and all this other shit. It makes zero sense, dude. Just depending on what church you go to or whatever. None of it makes sense. And then they take all the same book. They all read it differently. They take different parts and take this carnal, this spirit, that spirit. None of them align, and it's all there to divide. And it's there to divide just like the garden, because the garden was hell, and you have each of your Lord gods ruling over you, giving your light, and all this other shit, folks. So the church is just a little bitty representation of a garden within a garden within a garden. And you're the seeds and trees and shit, and they're in there plowing you. And you're sitting in the pews. You're sitting there in the fertilizer. And this shit and all that other stuff. And you're sitting and you can't even smell it. So Jesus said we can do all things. We're coming back to this time where this projection is coming back to a single projection in one way, shape, or form. And the rainbow is being expressed through men. That rainbow is put over the ark. The rainbow jacket was put on Joseph. That rainbow was given to Jesus as that King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So the return of Jesus, the Hollywood, all of these things work in a double and a positive and a negative. Okay. So Hollywood is leading to the people being their own reality shows in a matter of speaking. And that's part of the Jesus and those things, right? Because there's going to be different OGs for different times. And the OGs tie into those Most High, and the Most High tie into being part of Jesus. And then the Most High can go into the tent and they can hot box it, and they can get all the mirrors working. And then once all the mirrors are working, they can get out the smoke and bring in the people to see the magic that is there taking place with the angles of light and on the sea of glass that they've laid out in this black tent. Okay, so this darkness is giving them light in one way, and it's reversing what they're seeing. And so these things that they tell us about our reality or whatever are dark speak about how things really work. Our vision really doesn't flip shit upside down or whatever they say. It's how we view ourselves in the mirror, because it's a flip on ourselves. And then how people see us is not how we see ourselves. And then we're also half man, half woman, and we're all male and female, made after he, them. And just like Jesus taught, and the Jews hated him for this. Okay, so this is where we see this light of Jesus coming in, where it's male and female, made after he, them, where the people, the younger generation, the young, because Jesus comes and the children first to set up the new heaven and earth and all these things. It's where the younger rule the old and whatever, right? So this is where the young generation, they are a different breed per se, because they have Jesus within them. They have the light within them. And a lot of them are having the light taken from them. But as their light's taken from them, it's being focused into another way. This is where you get like autism, and then you get like special traits developed in some of those things. But there's many shapes and forms to this puzzle. But the pH, the planet Hollywood, this ties to that water of life. They're showing you all these things to experience in life, okay? And it's up to us to go and experience these things. But the way this world operates in the world, how it's kind of a fallen system, is we are born into our generational curses. We're born into the foods and drinks and lifestyles that our parents are born into, and salvation is basically forgetting what our parents have taught us. This is why Jesus says to love your enemy and to hate your parents. And if that was literal, hopefully not, right? Well, the Jews aren't taking what's wrong, Jews? So, the people seeking salvation, that would be a clear contradiction in there. All right, so this is kind of one of those things they take spiritual sometimes. But salvation is kind of forgetting the generational curses and overcoming those generational curses that we've been taught, because we've been taught by our parents that, hey, this guy's your enemy. Hey, this is not good for you or whatever, right? No, it's not good for them. And it may not been good for them in their 20s, but it may be good for them in their 30s or in their 40s or their 50s or whatever. All right. Or it may not be good for you if you have kids, but it may be good for you when you're single, or it may be good for you when you understand the positives and negatives. Okay. So, the pH, the water, 6 or 7, that's what plants can grow in generally. And the 6 is day 6. That's that life. Day 7 is where God died. And we see God is destroyed for lack of knowledge. And we see the lack of knowledge in the garden with Adam. And that knowledge is taken from him, put in the middle. All right. And that middle is in the gray area. The gray area is where the brain is. But the Lord wants to keep you divided on the left and the right. Can't get in the gray area. Can't get in the warm water. Got to be hot or cold. Okay. So, Jesus is bringing that pH, that water of life. The Hollywood is bringing us that water of life. After it's bringing that water of life, it's also bringing in the programming and the confinement to bring in that Obotaman, that bot man empire, those robots. Okay, because man has come from monkey, we are still monkey, and the light that indwells within man, where Jesus has given us a key to operate and test all men, that's what gives us the light to become the sons of God. It's where we're not monkey man anymore. Okay? Where we're not just being pushed around and being that monkey man. That monkey man is tied to the Monday. Oh, it's work. I got to go to work. My life's blah, 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 blah. All right? So, the Shakespeare, he's connected to writing the Bible and translating the Bible. That's bringing in that 1611. That's bringing in that time of English before the English, per se, sons of man comes back. Because that us and our, the Jesus, the us of the United States or whatever. So that's where the AI and these things are coming from. American, that technological center, I should say. The Silicon Valley. That would be like the AI's heart in a matter of speaking, with Google and such. But all those things are, and Google's that largest number, and that's where God was told the people to go on multiplying, or multiplying up to that largest number. And either way, it goes on, because it's the Spirit of God connecting all things. And as the Spirit of God connects all things, this is where the parables come in. That's where we just flow. So we'll end it here because of time.